Hell yeah, awesome stuff. That was Hell Destroyer from the band Cage. Hi, DJ Tina here, host of HMTV Canada Easy. On the phone with me today is the lead singer, Sean Peck of Cage. Hi Sean, welcome.
Hey, it's great to be on Canadian radio to all my fellow metalheads from the Great White North.
Do you miss snowboarding this time of year in Alaska?
Yeah, you know, I have the distinction of being the first person to ever snowboard in Alaska, actually. I bought the first Burton Woody Custom in 1982, and I was the first guy to ride the slopes on a snowboard in Alaska, and I did a lot of snowboarding in Colorado, and I'm in San Diego, there's actually a lot of good snowboarding here, hard to believe, but there's probably 5 ski resorts within 3 hours of me down here in San Diego, so yeah, I still ride a lot.
Living down there, you would think that there's no snow, that it's all sunny. That's what most
It's funny because there's snow in the mountains, right, where I can see. I mean, I'm at the beach right now, and I could just walk up to the top of my street and see snow in the mountains. So that's the cool thing about San Diego. It's got it all.
I'm going to get into your music here. I noticed on your MySpace page, Operation Overload, listen to this new song, and it's very packed with metal energy, just like your previous songs from Hell Destroyer. Is this new song going to be featured on your 5th album in 2009?
Yeah, Operation Overlord was the code name for the D-Day invasion of France. Of course, D-Day of World War II. And, just going through all the metal that I, always scan, and I never really saw a song that had been written about D-Day, and I thought that was a cool name for sounded like a real metal title. And myself and Anthony McGinnis, my guitar player, put that together, and that song came together real quick, and I dig it, man. It's got a good, just heavy metal vibe to it, and the response we've gotten just on that little demo piece has been just amazing. I got people from all over the world saying, we can't wait for the new record, and I was kind of against putting that demo up at all, because you kind of like to keep things a secret until the new record comes out, but my manager, talked me into it, and it really worked out good because we've got just tons of response on it.
This very song seems to be past tense based on a historic event, but what motivates or inspires the band to write such incredible lyrics, and is it history, spiritualism, and war that Cage expresses in their song themes?
I write all the lyrics, and I kind of guide the direction of the lyrics, and and the music and kind of the theme of the albums. The last time we did Hell Destroyer was was real easy because that was very spiritual, based on revelations of the the Bible and kind of a fictional story. So that was definitely a more spiritual avenue. This new record is, we kind of went back to the basics, and it's kind of just a classic heavy metal, drive fast in your car and turn it up kind of vibe. But the other thing we're trying to do is we have a new drummer on this record, and it's really allowed us to increase the speed, and there's a lot of different beats that I don't think we've ever used before. So it's definitely it's gonna be not like the same kind of Cage that everybody hears. I think people are going to be really pleased that we've been able to somehow turn up the notch again.
This new fifth album, can you give us any highlights from the song tracks, the style, the artwork, any new or things that are going to be different than your previous sound quality?
Yeah, we're using Mark Sasso to do the cover again. He's the one that did the last two albums. He did, he does all the Halford stuff. He's done the Dio covers. So we really like his artwork, and he loves the band and really has a good, idea of how to translate, what we're thinking into the visual stuff. So we expect another amazing album cover that's being worked on right now. Travis Smith is actually doing the interior layout. Travis Smith is pretty well known for doing so many Century Media, like almost every Century Media band that you can name, he's probably done the cover for. And he's a longtime friend here in San Diego, so he's going to be doing the interior artwork, and there's going to be, pictures related to what the song titles are. We always try to deliver like a real high quality package, so that when people spend their hard-earned money, to get the CD and hold it in their hands, they got something special, there's something they can spend some time with and stare at. I mean, anyone that's got the Hell Destroyer, booklet, I think it was like a 30-page booklet. We called it a mini graphic novel. It had just like tons of artwork in it and story and stuff. So we always, give anyone that's got our CDs knows that it's always a top-notch production. So we're trying to keep the artwork at that level. And as far as songs and stuff, like I said, it's a fine line. You don't want to be revealing too much, but I think probably in February, we'll reveal like the entire track listing and everything. The title of the album I can reveal to you. The title of the new album is called Science of Annihilation. And we wanted to go with something just really metal and just really ferocious. And so far we've been getting pretty good positive response on the title. Song-wise, it's, like I said, this has the new drummer Norm Leggio, who was the drummer of Psychotic Walt, a real popular, classic prog metal band that was real big in Europe for a while. And he was a friend of ours for a long time and an amazing drummer. He's really fit into the band good. We've already, done a tour in Europe with him. But he's a very, technical, very knowledgeable drummer, and he was able to really expand the Cage sound and take us in a direction that's like for the first song on. The first song is like kind of like a speed metal thrash song, and I think people are going to hear it and just go, "Oh my God, what's this from Cage?" So we definitely are trying to push the limits of, what power metal or heavy metal is. To me, power metal, has kind of gotten a bad name. I don't like my stuff when it's just too flimsy and happy and, it just doesn't have the mean badassness that heavy metal is supposed to have. So that's the one thing we're known for, is making our brand of power metal just completely badass. And I think people are going to be real happy with what they hear on this record. I mean, I've been reviewing it. All we have to do is basically finish one more song, and then we're into the final mix. And we expect to have it done by the end of January for probably a late April, early May release.
Is this new album going to be recorded with more of a live sound?
Boy, that's hard to say. We're experimenting with that. Recording live is, we've been talking to, actually I just was speaking with Royce D about recording live, and I think probably the next record we might try it, but we always get that, we want to be able to capture the Cage live sound, because the greatest bands, which you'll probably agree with me, are always the albums are killer, but when you go to see them live, it's even better than the album, and that's kind of the reputation that we've gotten. Even though our records are definitely critically acclaimed, there's definitely a lot of different vocal layering and stuff that we try to duplicate live. We have I sing, and then the other two guitar players sing, and the bass player sings backup. So we're I think we have some of the best backing vocals in the business, but we need that many voices because I lay so many damn tracks on, like, all over the place that you pretty much need that many people sync duplicated. But I think we've captured a little bit more of the live rawness. I'd have to say, yeah.
Who helps out with the recording, mixing, and mastering process of all Cage's music production?
Well, we used the same guy on the first two albums. Woody Barber was his name. Pretty legendary guy in San Diego. The second album and the third album we did with Richard Carr, and Roy Z helped out on Darker Than Black. Richard Carr was kind of Roy Z's right-hand man for a while. And this album, we've learned so much in the process, and we've, purchased our own studio gear. So we've been doing all the engineering and production ourselves. Dave Garcia, the guitar player, is doing all the engineering, and him and I, are doing the final production. But we definitely have some bigger names, some heavy metal big brothers that are like looking after us and making sure the sound comes out right. So. So far it sounds really good, and we're just going to continue to be, I think, a self-made band. It's just nowadays, man. I've gotten so tired of dealing with record labels, and every year, every album we shop it out to some different label. I've had some real bad experiences with labels in Europe. Our last label, filed bankruptcy on us, and then the label before that was Massacre Records. I had to actually take them to German court just to frickin' get paid. So really frustrating, when you put a lot of time and money into just making a high quality product, and you've got the label that kind of exploits it. So we're most likely going to be doing everything ourselves this time, just from the recording of the album to the distribution of the album. We've been in the business long enough and we know that we have a certain, we have probably 10 to 20,000 or so hardcore Cage fans out there that are going to want to get the record, and we're going to be able to put all the extra money we save into just delivering them just a high quality product that they'll appreciate and love. And not Hell Destroyer took 4 years to get out, and we're going to definitely be putting out albums a lot quicker than that.
Can you tell us the journey that Hell Destroyer has taken to record and produce? I believe it took 3 years to write and 1 year to record.
Yeah, it's basically like a double album. I mean, it's like 80 minutes. When we decided to do a concept album, I really wanted to set the standard for, I think of the best concept albums. You think of Operation Mindcrime, and I think probably Abigail or Them from King Diamond, in metal anyways. And, first we had to come up with the story, and the story was, what's the ultimate concept, of course. It was just, the end of the world. It's a story that's been done in metal a lot, but never really, completely from, start to finish, and that's why it took so long to go from the crucifixion of Christ all the way to the end of the world, basically, where a demonic invasion of the earth, and then 100 years beyond that into the golden age. And so it took a lot of time to tell that story. And we don't like to write. We kind of do it different. Other bands I always hear they write 20 songs and then they pick the best 12. It's like we write. Is every song that we write usually makes it on the record, because if it's not, if we're on a direction that we don't think kicks ass enough, then we just drop it. I don't want to spend time writing songs that are subpar. So it's probably why we've gotten all of the reviews. Even since our first record, just the critics have always been really, really nice to us. Unveiled, we got voted, Best New Band of the Year by Rock Hard Magazine.
Can you tell us about your album, Hidden Sessions? Why the rare tracks were never revealed to the public in previous albums?
Yeah, the Hidden Sessions thing is a digital-only album. It's got some, basically, most bands, before they do their album, they pre-produce all the songs. They, record them, in a lower quality, kind of a quicker thing so they can hear it and, see what it sounds like. And so I always thought, me being a fan of, some of my bands, I'd love to hear some of the pre-production versions. They just, Rob Halford released Fight, the K5 tapes, which is basically the same kind of thing where, they pre-produced the whole album and some additional songs that didn't make the record. And that's kind of what we did. We had these different versions of these songs and a couple cover tracks, one of Freewheel Birding by Judas Priest and Dungeons Are Calling by Sabotage. And like I said, a lot of other variations of some other songs and stuff. And we put it in a collection, and the hardcore fans have really been digging it. So that's kind of a cool thing we put out, and kind of just experimented to see if people would would like it, and it's actually got a lot of good response on it.
How has your recent tour been going to promote Hell Destroyer, and have you received a good turnout of fans, and did you sell lots of CDs and merchandise?
The CDs did sell out in Europe, and I only have a few left here in the States. So I think Hell Destroyer was definitely our most successful record because we got so many new people, especially from internet radio. We did a lot of internet radio interviews like this, and great stations great programs like what you're doing. And the people that are in the internet radio are so passionate, just like we're passionate about the music we put out. And it really opened us up to a lot of other people that had no clue who Cage was or what we were all about. We're kind of that band that's kind of that classic heavy metal sound of the Iron Maidens and the Judas Priest, but I think we're one of the few that's been able to modernize it, but yet keep the classic feel. It's a real fine line, to dance on, and that's why people that have discovered us, to the Hell Destroyer album, were just like going, oh my God, where has this band been? Because we're still, a relatively underground kind of metal band. So the tours themselves, we did the Midwest, which went really well. We did a little run in Europe, which was great, and we did the West Coast. So this new album, we're probably going to be playing out even more. We did a lot of Mexico actually too. We're going to probably do Mexico again. We have a Europe tour planned for late May, and the U.S. I think we're finally going to get to the East Coast. I'd love to come up to Toronto, since I hear it's just such a kick-ass metal town.
Gene Simmons is in the Toronto area right now, starting his own record label, and he's going to have his hands full because there's a lot of underground bands that he's got to choose from. But he called the Toronto area the New England.
Oh, nice.
Are you going to be recording any of your albums on vinyl as a special promo for Cage?
Yeah, actually, the Hell Destroyer and Darker Than Black are both coming out as double vinyl releases, and Hell Destroyer comes out in April. It's through a European deal that we made, but they'll be available on the website, cageheavymetal.com, and through our other website, myspace.com/cageheavymetal. And we're real excited about that because, that album cover is going to look great on vinyl, and then they're going to release Darker Than Black later in the year, and probably our new album, Science of Annihilation, will be on vinyl too. It's people are really buying a lot of vinyl, especially here, where I'm at in California, and so I'm stoked to finally get those out. We made a great deal for ourselves with a vinyl company, and they're real excited about it. And the cool thing about the vinyl is they're putting all this extra artwork and extra liner notes, and I think the Hell Destroyer, they're going to have a version that's colored vinyl that has a Cage patch in it too. So they call it the Die Hard version. So we're stoked on it. I can't wait to get my hands on one for myself.
With that vinyl quality, you get that high definition audio. That's what I like.
Well, yeah, and then the Hell Destroyer and the Dark and the Black albums were both recorded analog. Anyways, there's a lot of tape. We kind of did the old-fashioned way for those two albums. So real excited to hear what that sounds like on the actual vinyl itself.
Before we wrap up our interview, do you have any shout-outs or endorsements you wish to promote?
Well, I'll just people that are out there listening to this interview, check us out because, like I said, our brand of metal is kind of a Maiden, Priest, King Diamond, Ice Earth, Metal Church, Testament kind of mixture, and people that appreciate wailing vocals and killer frickin' riffs and power. Our new slogan is we're putting the power back in power metal for this next album. So people out there that are listening to me talk, go on the MySpace page, myspace.com/cageheavymetal, and if the first couple songs don't kick your ass and get you hooked, I would be shocked. Because the last two albums we've got, I think Dark and the Black, we got 11 Album of the Year awards, and I think Hell Destroyer, we got 4 Album of the Year awards, which is really awesome. And we really pushed the limits on this new one. So everybody keep an eye out for it in May. That's the only shout out. And all I can say today on, what's today, January 11th?
Yes.
I can say is go San Diego Chargers.
Okay. Thank you, Sean, for this interview. Horns up, because you rock.
Right on. Thanks so much for having me, and like I said, really appreciate people like you that dedicate their time and energy into putting this kind of killer music on internet radio, and the time and passion that you put into it. I really appreciate your efforts, and thanks definitely for having me.